Good morning, everyone. Phi Farley here, February 20th. We have a good slate here on Wednesday of NCAA basketball. I got NCAA basketball best bet coming to you here in 1 second. Coming off a rough day with Baylor topping Iowa State yesterday as a 10-point underdog. I took the Iowa State side, the wrong side, playing that Makai Mason would not be playing, and sure enough, he was for Baylor. And boy, he led his team. Props to the Bears for getting through that win. That's a big win for Baylor, and they have been rolling quite well. I thought I had caught them in a flat spot and was going to cash in on that one. So a little disappointed in that. Disappointed in yesterday in general. So I'm looking to bounce back today, shaking things up. I've really been hit, miss here the last 2 weeks or so. Coming up on 2 weeks. So overall, things are still on the positive, but I really want to get a run going here and get a nice, good day to cash in. So changing things up, I'm going to show something here with the daily best bet on using KP. This has been brought up with using KenPom and how to effectively exploit a line that may be off. With a little bit of a smaller school that some may fly under the radar with. So let's get into that in 1 second. If you haven't checked out my other picks, patreon.com/Phi Farley is where to find them. Also, you can subscribe here and get my picks as soon as they come out. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. You can also check out, you can check me out at Twitter, @Phi Farley is the handle. So, couple different ways to follow along. Feel free to do so. All right, so where we're going today with the best bet is going to be catching Lipscomb, who's a hard team to want to fade. But I think we have a really good spot here going to Florida Gulf Coast. So Florida Gulf Coast has been a respectable team in the conference, sitting at 6-7 right now, kind of mediocre. You really have two teams at the top of this conference and then everyone else. You got Liberty, Lipscomb, and then everybody else. So Florida Gulf Coast at the on the flip side, though, started off their division record 0-3, and since then they've played a little bit better, winning 3 out of the last 5, 4 out of the last 7, and so on. Now, that said, they played at Lipscomb earlier this season. Basically the same teams, looking at who was starting. There wasn't a reduction in lineup or anything for either team, and ended up being an 89-81 victory for Lipscomb, an 8-point win by Lipscomb at Lipscomb. Now here we go on the road, Florida Gulf Coast hosting this game. Florida Gulf Coast has been good at home this year, 11-3 overall at home. Meanwhile, Lipscomb 8-3 on the road. So same number of losses here for Lipscomb. Lipscomb plays a little bit different style when they go on the road, averaging less points per game when they go on the road. They hold defenses down almost 10 points less per game as they go on the road versus at home. They score about 5 points less per game, does Lipscomb, as opposed to when they're at home. Sorry, I'm pulling this up here right now. Their stats. There we go. It's 7 points less scored on the road than when they're at home. So defense, more methodical, half-court offense does Lipscomb play when on the road versus at home. Florida Gulf Coast, on the other hand, a nice home record, especially here in conference. Not really losing since they played Liberty back, I think, before the new year. That's where it looks, maybe early January. So, nice home record. Let's see. Next best team outside of Liberty Lipscomb is NJIT. They beat them at home by 2. I believe Florida Gulf Coast has looked forward to this game. They just dropped a road game to Stetson. Not a good team, but I think they were at a look ahead for this game against Lipscomb. They have revenge going for them. Of course, everyone does against Lipscomb and Liberty. But here they have revenge. The last time it was an 8-point game on the road. I expect it to be better at home. The line we're getting is 11. Now, if we go over to KenPom, this line was set up to be on a neutral court, 21. So if we give home court advantage over to Florida Gulf Coast, it should be around 15.5 to 16. So then, considering we have an 11-point opening line, We have clearly an offset that it's going to be closer to the Florida Gulf Coast side than what would be anticipated by KP, which means we have, playing up, we have greater home court advantage, we have a lineup change, there's some other factors that's playing into this game and this line being closer. So all things being neutral, this is an easy Lipscomb side. However, given that this line is showing us this is probably going to be a place where Florida Gulf Coast plays really, really well at home, hits a high 3-point percentage, keeps this game close as they did the last time they played. They hit 44% of their threes. Look for them to do that again at home and keep this game within the 11. So I'm going to take Florida Gulf Coast plus the 11 points at home against Lipscomb, and we'll see how everything falls at the end of the day. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you again soon.